Folks, do us some Crystals of Mabar adventure design for Eberron campaign setting for Dungeons and Dragons. I could probably find a worse way of starting off that sentence, but here we are. So I'm going to laugh at myself like YouTubers do, and then I'm going to verify that I'm active, go through my actual intro, verify that I'm active. Holy Hannah, that's still loud as hell. Anyway, yeah, so we're live. Give me a chance here to click my bits, and we'll get started in with an intro, and then we'll get into some Eberron adventure cartography for the day. So check and check and check. That's good. Okay, here's the intro spiel. My name is Phil Kearney. Hello. I create role-playing game supplement PDFs that I publish online. Currently, I've been focusing my attention on Dungeons and Dragons 5th edition. I publish the work that I create with others on the DMsGuild.com. There is a link to a slew of different productions that I've made already that are available for folks to view online. All my stuff's always 100% free preview when it's on the DMs Guild. There's probably about 150 different illustrations across the books that are listed down below. And verifying, click. So if you're an art enthusiast, be welcome to check that stuff out. If you're a D&D enthusiast, then most of the rules I create are built for both players and DMs to use. I run campaigns in D&D from level 1 to 20 in about 250 to 300 hours on average. And this one is no exception. So we're going to finish my spiel here in a second, and then we're going to start working on today's bits. So I've just posted that I am live. If you follow me on Twitter at Phil Kearney, which is linked down below, you can follow me for whenever I do go live. Other ways to support the channel: like, subscribe, hit the bell icon here on the YouTube. So that you can find out when I'm live in the future and kick through this universe with me. This is a book cover we created for the adventure that we're going to be publishing, Crystals of Mabar. It's for level 7 or 8 level characters. You could start as low as 6 if you want to go through all the content that's inside of this adventure, or you could one-shot it at 8th level. Either way, A-okay. We started creating this book cover. We're at episode 131 of our playlist right now for this Eberron adventure design. It's been almost all cartography up to this point. So we are swirling the drain of maps that we have to create, which would then start the token process of us creating all the creature and NPC tokens that you'll create inside of that you'll encounter throughout this adventure. There could be a good 40 of those, so we'll see how that stacks up. And hey, Dreams, it's good to see you, my guy. So yeah, you can check out the creation of the book cover back around episode 40. Today we are continuing our work on the map for this is the village that's at the very beginning of the adventure, like the furthest away from the end of the adventure. Last week when we were here, we walked through the process of, depending on which one of 6 adventure hooks that your characters have entering the adventure, can dictate how close to the finale of the adventure your characters start in on the adventure, whether they're teleported directly into the last dungeon, or if they start all the way out not knowing anything in Act 1. If they don't know anything, they start way out here in Act 1. And as they learn more information, they move through the forest into the Act 2, into the Manifest Zone, where there's evil a-brewing, and then after they search around a couple different dungeon locations inside there, they find Act 3, which is the underground facility that is conducting these undead experiments, and then if the team can shut down the folks that are performing the right, folks like their neighbors. I guess they kind of are to this village. If you can get the neighbors to stop all that racket and stop throwing up on your lawn, then you win the adventure and you potentially get a second home. So we are right now in the process. So we've taken time here building out all of these different bits. Like we worked on the roofing last week for this mill, for this silo attached to this the storage locker or storage barn. And then we had to build out the roof for it, which is what we built. So you have roof on, and then you have roof off. The two modes, whether you're outside or inside a building, right? So this is all ready to go, black and white. Like if you're just going to print this out low res, it's ready to go. We'll have to break it up into chunks, each building being its own little chunk. I think like the biggest building here is this. This is the largest building that we have, and it is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. I lost count. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13 by 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. Oh, 13 by 13 building. Do tell. Okay, so that is an inconvenient size, but if we were to go into like how are you going to fit that on an 8.5 11, or how are you going to fit that like on the size that I like, which is an 11 by 17 page? Even this 13 by 13 doesn't fit on either one of those. But what I can do is break up the map so that you have the this back lot of the building not be part of the front lot. So you can have this main area and the front porch, and then you have as a separate map this interior space. So if we cleave off the apartment part of the building, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 by 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. So you can fit this on a this portion on an 11 by 17 map, no problem. And then this is just on its own separate map leading into this from the outside. So this is one building, two building, and then you've got the larger overhead, which is down here. And if we are going to have a black and white map of all the external stuff, then our cut line is across here. So we can, again, break this into 4 squares here and then 9 squares here by 13. So we can cleave these things off at different sections. This is the other largest building that we have. Let's see how you measure out. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. 14 is probably a good way to paste that. So let's see if we were to open this up. This one is inconveniently sized. Let's see, what will we do? I am delaying. I'm stalling. Don't mind me. I'm stalling this thought process of diving into this. I'm looking at. Oh, this is. I could do a separate silo map. From, let's see, that would make this 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 by 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So I could do a 10 by 12 of this building only, and then have a separate 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 8 by 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 6. Sorry, 8 by 6. So I can fit this on an 8.5 by 11, just the silo. And then I could have the full building without the silo cut out of it as an 11 by 17 page. But then if I were to merge them both together, what would be the proper way to fuse these as probably along this line here? I haven't quite paced out how we're going to have all this fit together, to be perfectly honest. So when it's a VTT, it's super, I mean, it's, what's the size of this? Like 55 by 55 inches, I think? Yeah, it's a 55 by 55 at 100 pixel resolution. So it's, if I were to do that would be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. Like I can go by like a 15 inch here and just hit, ooh, that's interesting. Hit right along this line. What if I cleave along here? Oh my God, that's perfect. So that's 14. This is 14 inches here. So I could easily do an 11 by 17, break it up like one, it'd be 1, 2, 3, it'd be 8.5 by 11. Sorry, it's supposed to be 11 by 17 is what I like to think in. So that would be, yeah, I could go along down the line here. So this would be this would be 10 by 16 is the effective area because I have to leave a half-inch margin for the printer feed. So you have to have that inch, that half-inch margin. So I could do I'd have to do 55 inches is going to end up being 6 pages tall. And then by 14 inches, I should know this by now, 55 by 14. It's going to be, well, okay, so I can do 4 pages. That'll be easy enough. So that'll be our first breaking line here at 14 inches. And then what's going to be our next breaking point? Here, what was I going to be? Oh yeah, 14. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. Wow, holy shit. I think, does that break smooth? If I do 15 inches here, that breaks smooth across this entire line of scrimmage. So that's fucking convenient. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. 14 is here, and this is the odd goose out up here. Fuck you, pal. Maybe I'll go along the top here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Okay, so I'm gonna have to go. I think I can figure this out. I might have to break it up. We have this blank space across here. I could probably break a field. I might end up having to move the tree, like move this tree up a square, so I can have a line of separation here. I think that's what we're going to need to do. I'm parsing through this because the next thing we're going to do is color. So I have to make sure that I have clean breaks across the map. And I think, honestly, that's the only area that's going to actually give me trouble. It's not as smooth as the rest of the maps. The rest of the maps break real cleanly inside of the 10 by 16 space. But this one's a little more haggard than the others, but that's okay. That's just life in the big city. I'm going to take this. I'm going to... What is that at, 50? Okay, we'll take that to 50. There and there. Whoop, whoop. There. And I think I want a clean line of scrimmage here as well. And then I'll grab this one. Then we'll start the color process, and you guys can see how colorblind people figure out how to do color. I don't think I've done that on this channel in a while. That'll be fun. Paste here. Let's scoot that in an edge. Yeah, I think that'll be okay. So now we have a clean line that breaks here, and we have a clean line that breaks here. I think we should be able to section up the city or the village A-OK that way. So I'm content with how that sits. So now we can stitch this back shut. Right now we're just going to do the exterior, and I'm just going to do it in one, right now in one piece, and do some cut and pasting later on. So let's go to B-dub, and then we drop color in underneath it. Color. You can see the description down below. There's a link that that gives you an explanation of what. Hey, what's up, Shiner? It's if you check in my description down below at the bottom, there's a link that leads you to monochromatism. That is the deficiency that I have in my eyes. Monochromatism is that you do not have any cones, thus no color vision. It also fucks with your resolution, so I can't drive. But the big stickler here is that I don't see color. So for me as an artist to be able to produce professional work that people are willing to pay for in color, I gotta make sure my shit is straight. So when I'm building a map like this, I have to find a photo reference that's gonna have the colors that I want. So I can paint by colors, or paint by numbers for the colors. RGB is the numbers of the colors that we're gonna use. So I'm going to do, what's been in my head earlier is Little House on the Prairie Town. Walnut Grove, thank you. So here are images of Walnut Grove, which provides us, I don't know if this is black and white yet or not. So I'm going to have to jump in here and copy this. It's washed out, and I want to believe it's old-timey. So I'm inclined to believe that's black and white, but I truly don't know. So we're going to drop the image in here and find out. I've got my color dial here. Apparently it's in color. That's fucking perfect for what we need to do. So what I need to do is I want a dirt road that we can have for the main central drive-through here, as well as surrounding areas around the buildings, as well as leading up to the forest entrance where the loggers go to fetch more wood, which is where the zombie apocalypse is going to march into town from. And then we'll work on, and then this gives us a preset color that we can use. There's a variety of colors for buildings here, and it gives us a bit of a format of how we can have. Come on, buddy. Thank you. I've got tree colors back here. Do I have? Yeah. Blue. Oh, wait. There's some wonky shit going on with this. This is probably not a good color reference. See, there's so many weird colors in this tree. Raw red and fucking blue, and I saw some purple earlier. There is some just raw weirdness going on with this tree. Normally what I have to do is I have to find just a general area that has a, oh God, look at that. That's so weird. It's a really low resolution image, which is what's causing a hang up. This probably isn't going to be a good reference for me because it's just, the colors are unreliable. So this is not, I have to keep an eye on my RGB indicator over here to be able to pick up on where's the image working, and this one just doesn't. So I'm going to go back in here. Let's see, this actually might be a better image, but we'll see if it's just as rough or not. So let's copy this image and then we'll paste it into space here. This could be gray tone though. Again, I can't tell. Well, it certainly doesn't have a lot of color stuff going on over here. It's all very limited palette. So I'm guessing this may have been a modified black and white ad or image, or it just is. God, I fucking love that setup too. That's a shame. All right, let's keep trying. We'll find something that works. Let's see if this one's color. Shall we? Because this one would be great. Oh, that's fucking perfect. This is a good one. Nice. Get the shingles. This is a good town. This is a good town to work with. I am very happy with this one. So we've got some color references over here for the railing that we can use for our fences. This rough ground though, this is great, and we have grass up here for the more grassed areas, and yeah, this is gonna work out. I think this is gonna be just fine. Let me check for some variety. It's all green, and that's throwing a flag up for me that there might be some sort of color treatment going on here, because the entire page, it's wait, you got some deviance in here. Yeah, there's too much green going on. I can't trust it. I need an image that has a wider variety of RGB ratios so that I'm not accidentally getting myself fooled into thinking this is a good reference when it might not actually be one. So the quest continues. We'll find a good color reference here. That feels the same as like above. This is potentially black and white as well. Let's find out. Good. No. See, good. We have a good variety here, and it's a high enough resolution that it's not throwing me weird signals. That's good. We have some good green. You know, we got some great green over here for the grass. We got good roofing over here. Wow, off purple. That's weird. Neat. Red roof. Interesting. What about over here? Yeah. See, these shingles aren't red. What's up with that? Red roof. Oh, I see. It's got rooms. Is that in red? Nope. Red roof, so it stands out easily from a purple now. Huh. I'm fascinated. The RGB slider over here just always fascinates me. So I really just I can guess. I mean, I've been at this game for almost 50 years. So I can often guess what the colors are gonna be, but I'm never quite sure. I can't believe. Nice hill work back here. All right, this is a good. Yeah, this is a good one. So we can keep this. Bop, bop, bop. Ref. Ping. Burr, 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 burr. So let's take a. Oh, I don't know. Let's just swath it up. Well, I guess I could just bucket filled like that. But I honestly like pixeling it, like actually manually doing it myself, like I'm painting on a canvas. It's my Bob Ross roots. I'm not certified with Bob Ross painting. I can't because I can't mix colors on an easel on a palette. I can't manually mix the colors, so I can't technically get certified in Bob Ross painting. But I can duplicate all of his pieces online. I can Photoshop any of them. Tomorrow, actually at lunchtime, I'm going to start working on Joe Vargas, our ukulele boy. Ukulele bard. He worked with me on the Spelljammer's Combat and Exploration book, and as compensation for his technical work in helping me with the math on that system, I'm giving him a book cover. So I'm going to begin that process tomorrow at lunchtime, which will be in approximately 17 hours from now. So if you want to watch me Bob Ross a landscape for a book cover in a fantasy setting, like and subscribe. Hit the bell icon so you can stay alert of when I go live. And I have until the end of July to finish that. But I can do a Bob Ross painting from scratch in Photoshop in about 4 or 5 hours. But those are with pre-built, with like paint, like as like pause paint-alongs, like. Yeah, so if I'm building something from scratch, though, it could take, 10 hours for a really good landscape. So we'll see how that paces out. He's given me all the materials for the page dressing on the cover, like where all the titles and the byline and logos and stuff like that, and the active area of the book cover. So I have all the parameters that I need to be able to start dropping in the environment. So that's tomorrow, but we're going to continue with this process here now. So let's drop back into here and let's grab some of, let's grab some more of this greenier bit over here. Just gonna throw in some swatch here now. Every illustration and map is its own unique challenge, and I have legitimately not built out a village like this before, so this is a new experience for me. So I'm while I'm dropping color on here, I'm thinking, where is the path? Where's the beaten path, which is going to have this bare ground color, as opposed to this more lush greenage. And this is just a very rough color palette for now. I'm thinking I'm going to end up dropping this down something more like this, that I can then come along and scratch up like this. But this isn't, I don't think this is the brush I actually want to use to scratch up the surface. I think I want to use one of these brushes. Get out of the way. There we go. No, get out of the way. Thank you. Oh, I should hit a timer. Let me get my 20-minute timer going. Yeah, that'll do. So right now I'm going to just, I think I'm going to just, I want to, do I have, something went wrong. There we go, better now. I can go to 100%. Now I want to take this, like maybe 80% is the right mark. This probably isn't the right brush for me to use ultimately, but it's where, come on, buddy. See that delay, that time delay that I'm having there? There's a lot of differences in type of brushes. This brush, in particular, is not built for smudging. It is built for stippling. So when I try to use it for smudging and I drag it, it has a really huge memory RAM sap because it's processing all the pixels as individual events, I guess is the best way of putting it, as opposed to this, which is a cloud brush that I built that has been built to not think about a structure. So see how much more fast it can process smudge directions here. It's the same tool, different brush tip, and it can bash its way through a crap load of pixels because it's been designed to have a very low RAM usage. It's a very how to put it. It's a more complicated brush in that it's grabbing different layers of information, and it has different rules on processing how much it picks up and drags pixels with it. So this one's much easier to much lower workload overall. It isn't attempting to really preserve any information about the pixels that are being moved around, so it smudges real easily. It blends well, as opposed to the other one, which is designed to be far more specific about its pixel usage. It doesn't have the same kind of dragging qualities, even though it's the same smudge tool. It's a different type of brush. So this brush has very low pixel information, so it can move quickly and it smudges smoothly because it's not grabbing all the pixel information. So it makes it for a really good brush. I will probably end up doing a brush tutorial at some point, like how to build different brushes and all that blah de blah. I think I've done some of those in the past, but not as standalone documents, just as like offhand comments. Should probably, I don't know, that's the kind of stuff that like YouTube shorts and shit could probably process. But right now I'm just going through a low intensity smudging, just trying to muck up the field a little bit, just give it some variety and tone. it's I don't have any, since I don't have any color information, all I'm working on is contrast. So, which is something that's tricky for people that can see color, because the difference in the R and the B here, people with color vision can mistake those differences in the saturation of one color versus another, as though it is a different a different value or light darkness, right? A different contrast. There is color contrast between R, G, and B here. And there's a lot of contrast between R, G, and B here, but there isn't a lot of contrast between the lightness and darkness of these two. I mean, this is like on a scale of 1 to 10, 10 being white, 0 being black. Like this is like a 4, and this is like a 6. So while the difference between here is 106 and here is 180 out of 255, that's actually an interesting question. 180 divided by 255 versus 100 by 255. So 40 versus 30. So this is on a scale of like 4 to 6, and the color range here is basically a spread of 30%, which is like 4 to 7. So it's actually not that far different, but there's more contrast between there's colors than there's actual contrast between black and white. So that's the kind of space that I operate in all the time, between the black and the white. So I'm just kind of talking about visual processing here in general. It's just, I guess, something to fill the noise, the ear space with, while I'm essentially just smudging pixels around the screen. So, but this is helping me define, like, this is your way in, this is your way out. So like having less grass along the beaten path, like we were talking about, makes a lot of sense. So it would have a lower color density, because this is representing fresh grass or lush grass as opposed to trampled grass. And again, that's the process that we're going through of defining where the beaten path throughout this town is at. What's the path of travel that people take? And we can express that and build that into the narrative of the story without ever having to say anything, by having this visual presence of where, like, again, where's the actual beaten path. So fun. We talk about implied narrative with the visuals that you introduce into your environment. But I really am just kind of rambling. So if whatever I'm talking about ever sounds like bullshit, be welcome to call me out on it, and I can either explain myself or recant and reframe if necessary. But hopefully I won't be talking out of my ass too much. The muse, she tends to know what she's talking about, and the more I leave the steering up to her, the better off we were all going to be for it. So cheers to you, gal. Moment of reflection. Like that. And we have a region map that's already been illustrated. But it's not finished yet, because we haven't put the little markers in on it. Hold on, I'll go fetch that. It should be in working order. Intro, probably in here. Region map. So here's the region map that we created, and it's missing all the markers. For, like, what's the name of these mountains? What's this forest? What's the name of this town? What's this fort? What's this village? Here's the village that we're heading to. What's the name of this river? What's this route called? We still have to drop this forest. We still need to drop the labels in on this map, but we haven't settled on a font yet. So once we settle on a font, it'll be super easy for us to drop in, labels in on the thing. But I'm pretty happy with how this map turned out overall. It's a half-page map on an 8.5 by 11. It's like 8.5 by 5 inches, something like that. So this is the north. This is north central Karnath in the nation nation of Karnath on the continent of Corvair on the world of Eberron in the Eberron setting. So this will be further forward in the adventure. And once the team zeroes in on this area, like this leads off to Talenta Plains, where there's dinosaur riding halflings that raid, like buffalo and stuff like that. And it's just pretty cool. But back onto the present. So this depicts that. Actually, I think I needed that. I knew I had a reason to open that up, and that was because I wanted to look at this general coloring, which is not too different from the coloring that we have for the ground overall. I think that's really interesting. I stole these color references off of the actual Eberron map that was published by WotC. I just borrowed their palette and painted in my own style. But yeah, Bob's your uncle. Let's get back into this. Very good. You go into here and structures and lumber mill and roof. The more I think about it, the more I want to spin this thing around. Something more like this, so it's easier to take logs in from out of the forest, just drop them here at the front end here so they can get chopped up and then put out on boards. I think I think that's good because you can drop them here, then you can load them onto the lathe. Is that the right word for that? And then they got planks of wood that gets converted into, so you can drop them here. So actually, I think that position is okay. Yeah, I'm good with that. Had to go through that process here real quick, just to make sure we had our shit square. And then we're using a lower setting smudge brush to blend in more. I used a higher strength brush here to push the pixels into a position that I wanted. And then I can drop to a lower strength. Up here is the strength. We're at 40% currently. Lower strength allows more pixel information to get left behind. There's less strength in the smudge. It's less smudgy. So the lower the opacity, the less power it has to push pixels away from their current position. So it ends up having a more uniform smudge over the space, like this. As opposed to if I went to 100%, it grabs all the pixel information and drags it forever. And even the shape of the brush and its jitteriness gets picked up in this process, which can be useful if we're using if we're doing an interesting texture effect. But for the most part, I'm just looking through the process of what I've been doing is using a high percentage to push a lot of greenage into the space, and then I'm backing off and using a lower smudge percent strength so that it blends in more to the environment. So right now we're kind of walking through the narrative of how much hardline versus trotted grass. Ooh, wait, that I must have. that's right. There. Perfect. There. Fixed. Like, there's not much reason for there not to be good grass underneath this fence here, because, I mean, what are you going to do? Like, mow it? Why would you bother? And since this is the back of the building here, you can have grass growing all the way up to the back of the building. Like that. And we have more grass over this way. But it's going to be thinner here because you're going to have this path walking from the well to here. So that's a pathway, and there's a pathway here. And obviously we have the main strip through here. There's not going to be any grass around the well, like, at all. But there could be a little patch here. And there should be grass here and here. But there's a porch here leading into the building. No, there's not. There's windows here. So I'm thinking about over here. So this would be sensible. Like a little strip here, a little strip here. Around like that. Let's get these, let's get these roofs off. I think that'll help us. Okay. Now we should be able to get a better read of the flow of traffic with the roof off. I don't know why I didn't start off that way, but here we are. Hopefully this is entertaining to you guys. Obviously, we'll have to clean up the interior of the building, but we don't have to worry about that right now. There won't be much grass over this way, like, at all. There could be a little bit. There could be a little bit of grass underneath this here to here. And although it'll probably be really thin because, like, you pin horses there, they're going to eat your fucking grass. That feels right. That feels right. No, actually won't have much grass there. Grass. How did that roof go? Oh, I still need to build posts underneath there. Okay, we'll get to that. We'll get to that. Actually, that's a really fucking great question. Hold on. Oh, no, just okay. I was concerned that this door was going to be clipped by the stairs, but it looks like it's pretty much pretty good. Yeah. And I'm okay with this for now. not going to be much of anything in between here, but there could be a fade. I'm going to hold off on the fadey stuff for a bit. So stay centered on this and get this all worked in real good. Thank you, timely timer. Got another hour to go. Yeah, we got another hour. So we'll be back tomorrow morning. I'll do this for another hour, but again, every morning that I'm not out of town, I have a vacation coming up at the end of June. So I'll be gone for a week out of town visiting fam. But otherwise, I'm pretty much here Monday through Saturday, creating artwork in the morning for a couple hours, and then in the evenings like this twice a week, and then I do 1 or 2 lunches a week as well of different content creation, different things that we're working on. That feels pretty natural. And this would largely be thin foliage. Little kids screeching out. So I like this neighborhood that I'm in. Lots of families with little kids. It's fun listening to them, roughhousing with each other and screeching and shit. It's fun. I probably want to actually darken this up a touch. Do I? Yeah, I probably want to darken it up enough so that the grid comes through a little more smoothly so you can see those grid lines. Higher contrast is going to help that. I'm okay with it occasionally fading out, like this little point here. It kind of, the value matches, even though I know that the grid is black and white and the color that we're working on is green. So you probably don't lose sight of any of the grid lines anywhere, but like in this area, like this margin or this border between this more dense and lighter area, I lose the lines. Actually, not much reason not to have this all kind of patched in like this. There's a kind of a no man's land between these two buildings. Could be like that. You could probably actually drop in a lot more trees along the edge here, but just kind of want to leave it open. Not sure why. If there's a specific reason, I'm sure it'll manifest itself to us eventually. I could even put flowers or something down along the sides of these. That'd be kind of cool. It doesn't really have, it's not really a story element. You can obviously make up the relationship between different characters in the community, but I always kind of figured the mayor that has the apartment over here and the sheriff over here, who was part of the constabulary, his apartment is here. I kind of always figured they had some sort of a fling going, you know? Like they were founders of the community, and like maybe they were adventuring, an adventuring party together that decided to settle down or something. Doesn't really go into it at all. I mean, they're basically just commoners. They don't really have a stat block of mention, but leaders in the community always have some sort of relationship, not necessarily romantic or familial or anything like that, but it's you have to work with each other. Like sheriff and mayor have to work with each other. They're making decisions, like protection decisions for the people that are trusting them to make those choices. So there has to be some sort of a trust going on. Otherwise, you've got a really sticky political issue going on, which, quite frankly, this community is too small to hack something like that. So I feel like it should legitimately be a community of friends helping each other, which kind of just sounds like something that you'd want your players to protect, which makes the zombies coming in and trying to kill everybody that much more fun. Gotta get those tearjerkers going, so you can rile up that sense of justice that some players get about right or wrong, and is the DM just fucking with them again? That's great. Again, there's that fence, so I can afford to have dense. I can afford to have dense ground cover underneath the fence, because again, who'd be mowing that? That's ridiculous. Little worn path starting to show here towards the tree, where it might be really nice to have a picnic, thus again implying a sort of rendezvous between the sheriff and the mayor. Like this is a place that they like to go and spend time together, enough that there's starting to be an erosion of the ground between them. So I want to make sure that's really subtle, so it doesn't come through as like a well-worn old path that would imply multiple steps per day to beat down the grass like that, but just a thin little strip. Very subtle. Well, meanwhile, in these corners, like this would be a good flower bush area. Like if I get that detailed about it, I could easily drop in flowers in that area. Like there's not much going on here, so there should be a lot of growth in that area. But like less so over here because it's surrounding that corner. And nice bushes over here. See, I'm pushing the pixels in from both sides, and then from back here where the color is solid, I'm just dragging and pushing that way, so that becomes a very faint path. Very subtle detail. But again, it's a very small narrative perk. Like, what would people do around here? How would they use their environment? Why are they leaving the tree there? Why didn't they cut that tree down? It's aesthetically pleasing, perhaps. Maybe they like climbing it or something. here going along this way, and here, so I'm going to have some erosion this way. I can see I'm probably going to spend the whole session on this. A little bit of grass starting to tuft out, and then like here, it makes sense that the grass here wouldn't be beaten down. In fact, they may intentionally leave it tufty in case somebody comes along and tries to screw around with this prison window. They may be able to suss from the footprints in the grass what was going on there. So that serves a purpose. Let's fade that in. There, and fill that in like that some more. We should be able to come back along with a blade, like a brush that'll help with like blades of grass to create not just a wash of color here, but to actually add texture to it in varying degrees. Maybe like some browns or something like that would make sense. I'm not positive. But a little bit of variety in there to make it just to give it a little bit more texture. But we'll see. We'll see what brush we use. Right now, I'm mostly just trying to get this place shored up. I can easily see that I'm going to end up spending the whole hour on this. So, and I'm okay with that. Less grass over here because it's with this door sliding open, it's going to cause a lot of friction along the ground here. It's going to kill off the grass a lot. Maybe some weeds, but like there's no friction happening over on this corner here. But it probably has a lot of foot traffic, so it's going to have very, very thin grassage. Grassage? Sure. Grassage. And then we can find a sawdust color for the actual interior of here. Something like that. So let's smudge that up a little bit more. If you check my recent videos, we spent time in the Martial Powers project today at lunch, and we finished the Fire Arcane Archer, and that is a good build, man. I would, if I wanted to play Hank the Ranger, I'd definitely play an Arcane Archer. I'd blend in some Ranger too, but the Arcane Archer is just fucking. It's a great build. I am very, very pleased with those results. And I am looking forward to whatever it is that we come up with next week. So I'm really looking forward to finishing the Spellgenre book so I can slide up the Martial Powers project into a higher gear instead of just once a week. Get it to 2 or 3 times a week, so that I'm shifting in at least 2 hours, if not more, per session, just so we can get a little bit more serious about punching that content out. It's actually really far along in the process. We just gotta build out everything so it works proper. And let's push that away there, but keep this little tuft here that feels reasonable. That we'd have that little tuft of greenage there, and definitely here. That makes a lot of sense. Probably have that stretch out like that. Yeah, that feels right. I legit want to run an arcane archer with the build that we came up with. It looks fucking fun. You guys can check that out. And I also have a link to my Patreon down in the description down below. That's where I post Google Docs with read-only functionality, so you can playtest my stuff without owning it. So I gotta respect, if I'm going to be publishing on the DMsGuild, I gotta respect the DMsGuild's rules, which is don't publish your work on other platforms. But the incomplete text, like the alpha model of the draft, isn't the finalized document. So as long as I make it read only and the pre-edit language is all that I'm sharing, then that stays compliant with the DMsGuild, because it's not the actual language of the PDF. Like, they're interested in the language, the actual word usage, like the word by word on the page. That's what gets copywritten by WotC, the publisher, when I post something on the DMsGuild. But like rough drafts and playtest content that is not using the finalized language that's going to be published is fine to post for people to make use of. And if the concepts are at least spelled out well, kind of spoiler content. But that's, times are tough, man. So if folks can afford to throw a coin at a role-playing game, and they like what I produce, then hopefully they'll throw a coin at me. But more than anything, I just want people to get the ideas. Ultimately, they'll buy on board with just what I'm doing in general and spend some time here with me. That's the hope, anyway. So if you're lurking, say hey. Be welcome to drop in chat, or if you're catching this after the fact, drop in a comment. And I don't know, tell me something. I like how that's fading in. So far, so good. It's a slow drift process. But if I do a decent job now, it'll feed into the rest of the piece, and it'll just get stronger and stronger as it keeps going. But yeah, since the stairwell is here, you can pull your card in here. So there'd be a lot of stripping down here. Not so much over here. So I still feel like this is okay. that. Beep, 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 beep. If I can get satisfied with the ground coverage here, then we'll start picking at the trees, and we'll worry about the buildings further along the process. All things in time. Keep timely timer. Another 40 minutes left. Just like that. Very convincing. That. So you got mules that are working here, letting them off the hitch and chew on some grass right out this door isn't a bad idea on occasion. Plus, I kind of like this sort of gazebo sort of effect got going on here. I don't know why I want to have 4 entrances on this, but it just feels right. Might not be a good idea because of wind blowing grain, but I don't know. It's where my heart's at. So that's what we're doing. It reminds me of that scene in Ninja Scroll where he's fighting, where Jubei's fighting the Wasp Master in the grist mill. If you haven't seen Ninja Scroll, that is a really well built anime. It has some racy stuff like a lot of anime has in the 90s, but if you can get past the R rating, it's not gratuitous. What sex is in the story is not gratuitous at all. It all serves a specific purpose, which is it's a really intricately built story. Fantastic, and the action's fucking awesome. It's just like Ninja Scroll is just a legitimately great samurai western film. Super fucking cool. Really iconic monsters or villains. It's probably the better way of putting it. Horrible TV show, but freaking awesome movie. Let's trim that down a bit here. Yeah, ain't bad. that. Just doing some roughs right now. We'll worry about more intricate texture once we zoom in a bit more, like those like grass, like clumps of grass tufts that we were talking about earlier, flowers and shit. We'll get into that. That's not where we're at yet. Right now we're just laying in just basic color, just to make sure that the amount of contrast in the piece is sharp. Sharp contrast, yes, that is proper language. To make sure that it's just visually stimulating, that makes the eye want to kind of wander around. A really good map isn't even really necessarily for the player's benefit. It's like I talk about, like a lot of time I just do stick figures, lines, and boxes, but a really intricate map is really useful for the DM to make sure that they're getting what's there, or like if there's any subtleties they can pick up as inspiration for whatever narrative that they got going on with the story that's going on. A good map, a good detailed map provides that opportunity for the DM to breathe more life into the scene. Especially if the DM is a minimalist when it comes to player like tactical maps, they might not need or want to have this full map out on a table for anyone to look at. They may limit it just to a simple verbal description, and if that's the case, then all this stuff provides adjectives that can feed into whatever it is that the DM decides that they want to narrate to their team. Anyway. We're almost to the point where we go with ground scruff. We can start working on foliage. I like it. Let's see what happens if we drop down to let's go to 75%. So far I'm happy with that. I want to do I feel like there's not enough road traffic for us to warrant all this to be grayed out. Hey, Neck. Crystals in my balls. My balls. We were, oh my God, we were watching Peacock. Me and my gal were really into the Yellowstone TV show. And we were watching, and we have Peacock as one of our streaming services. And they've started a new thing where you have a normal commercial, like a TV commercial, but it's in a small box. And then off to the side of the box, there was a Marriott text ad that we could click on to go off onto a website to go look at Marriott shit. While I was playing another commercial in a smaller window that didn't. So on my TV, I was looking at two commercials at the same time. A stream video commercial for an energy drink or some shit. And then the frame around it was Marriott. And we looked at each other, I was like, fuck, it's turning into Idiocracy. If you've seen Idiocracy, my balls. It's the favorite show, the most popular show in the world was Kick My Balls. But while they're watching TV, it's like a Monopoly game. You have the central Monopoly area, the large blank area in the middle. That's where the show was at, and it was just lined with 16 different commercials that were just playing in these little squares that were just little dabs of colors. Oh my God. Anyway, we are heading that way to having Hulu or Peacock or MGM or whatever have its screen and then just have a shitload of sponsoring commercials surrounding it. What a fucking nightmare. You should not be attempting to duplicate anything that you ever see in Idiocracy, and it offends my sense of us as a human species that is the direction that streaming advertising is trying to go in. It's You're literally just destroying anyway. I could get really angry about it, but I don't think I'm actually that angry about it. But that was the note. Capitalism TM. Ads on ads on ads. Yeah, no kidding. I know, right? It's like, oh my god. It's just go ahead and kill us off. We have failed as a species. I just want to create. Right now I'm creating just random clumps of grassy tarn. I don't know if these can legitimately be considered grassy tarns or not, but yeah, like just little molehills, potholes, whatever, of just like little clumps. Just add some character and texture to the area. Like the whole area hasn't been like there's not so much traffic in this town that all of this is just dirt path now. It's like the high like the higher traffic areas I could see being worn down. But I think like legitimately like you'd have like remnants of grass in here, although I could see it being worn down. But there's like not much reason for the sheriff to go out of this back door out into the street this way. Like if he wants to be on the street, he'll go in through most likely go through the front. Or if you are heading out this way, like heading out to leave the town doesn't seem as sensible either. You would think that they would gravitate towards the center of the town more in this direction. So like these little, I was saying, these little tarns are. I'm trying to place them someplace to help narrate traffic flow to this area. Not that it's an important detail. It's just a little thing, It's just like one little thing you can add. And there would be carts that would. So I should probably drop this a little bit here. The cart would come in this way or from this part of town. Region map. Here's the Thorpe, and there's potential farms both this way and this way along this stretch, as well as off in this direction. And so this border here is essentially here, and that path is going along the edge of the wood here, which is here. So technically north is this way, off in this direction. So this is all at an angle. And then this, obviously this leads into the forest, and the adventure takes place like around here. 20 miles like around here. So that's the stuff that we're thinking about right now. Like I could have some more tough tarnage over here. Comments. Something that's been pissing me off doing with my own battle maps recently is making essentially little pockmarks in a lot of maps. Oh, just because is it the drain on time and such a small intimate detail? Hey, thanks, Dreams. I'm glad to hear it. Really, really glad to hear it, man. Most of the wisdom, quote unquote, wisdom that I can impart in regards to like doing this type of map is actually just me being really familiar with illustrating buildings and environments in general. A lot of that information can get extrapolated. I mean, this is just an environment painting from an overhead perspective, like a satellite view. But it's essentially just another environmental picture, which I've, logged like 150 some odd different landscape illustrations over my days. So it's something I'm pretty familiar with. But again, I haven't done a lot of professional cartography. So this is me realizing how much of my knowledge, like a lot of times I'm recognizing in real time how the information that I've gained through illustration can be directly applied to cartography, which is just, it's been a wonderful it's been a really cool experience for me, just going through this process. I don't think like I can always do something, you know, whatever system I'm working in, fantasy genre or Midwest, like Westerns or something like that. I can always produce decent maps, and I know there's a market for that sort of stuff in general. So I always have a freelance sort of hobby to fall back on personally. But I need to figure out a newsletter, like how to build an email list. I've done absolutely no work on developing an email list, and that really is going to be the keys to success in a couple years for when I start doing Kickstarter stuff. I need to accumulate a list, so I need to start figuring out how I'm going to parse my time between content production, streaming, my day job, family, and a fucking newsletter. It's like, oh, this hobby of mine, it's a whole job unto itself. But bumps. So it comes through here, drops off wood here, swings down, turns around, and then can go back out that way. Carts can be parked along here. Actually, probably put a cart once we get the flooded fort assets resolved. We'll have a cart that we can use both here and at that fort map as well. So, recycling icons. Comments. Yeah. Well, yeah, it says I'm proud and happy to have a full-time job that allows me the luxury of being able to have a side hustle at all. So, like, I get paid enough to be able to carve out enough time for myself to have a side hustle at all is unto itself these days an accomplishment, which I am very thankful and proud of. So it's and I don't mind the grind. I know it's going to take time. And I'm not afraid of that. Well, I'm really just trying to occupy my time until, you know, I die. To just be perfectly honest. Isn't that what all of us are doing? We're just kind of spending our time fucking around and having fun until we get taken away. That's life. That's life. Ooh. Shot down in May. Hey, Heather. It's good to see you, sister. So we'll finish up. We got another 30 minutes. So we'll keep picking away at just the ground scrub, and then the next thing will probably come in next time, which will be Thursday night. We'll come back through and we'll put the roofs back on all these things, and then we'll figure out the roofing, the coloring for the shingles and stuff like that. And then we'll work on the interior space and all the individual assets that we have inside of here, which of course are assets that we can interact with and pick up and use as separate tokens. So we'll have a deck of tokens, and we'll have the deck of the actual maps of the floor plans and the different regions inside of the adventure. And so lots of this is pretty useful. I mean, even these trees can be broken out as separate assets. So, but I like the outline and the trunk effect, because it makes it easy for characters to be able to maneuver underneath the foliage without having to be like, you know, there's how to say it's I as a player I don't like not seeing where the trunk is at on a tree. Like I'd rather see the trunk than the foliage. But with the roofs that we have, with the structures, we could also have a roof layer for the trees. So you can have a foliage canopy, and then you lift off the canopy just like we did with the roof here. You can lift that off, and then have the actual structure of the tree underneath it. So you actually know, like, if I'm, if I want to move from this fence to this tree without being seen by somebody over here, if I'm snooping around, then I know what kind of pathing I need to take to be able to keep this tree. Like if I want to move back into the forest, as long as I move along this line, I can keep like the sheriff from necessarily seeing me. If I move along this line into this foliage, then I can retreat into the forest. So stuff like that. So, but it's fun. Like the roof concept, you can apply it to the forest and the foliage as well, which I think is just really cool. I haven't seen a lot of maps deal with roofing. Like lift off, like peel away layers of roofing and stuff like that. I'm sure I'm not the first to think of it, or I just don't know of any. Like I haven't seen any WotC products do that. So no, I'm not saying I'm better than WotC. I'm just saying that I'm trying to create the most useful experience for the people that buy my shit, which WotC, I can argue, doesn't. So yeah, I'm taking a stab at you assholes. Fuck you. But I love me some Eberron, so I will use your IP because Eberron is fucking awesome. So far, so good. It's a map. It's God, Heather, you haven't been around for fucking ever. Hold on, let me show you a different one. Let's look at. Here's an active map. It feels better than. Thank you. Quite the compliment. Oh my god, I forgot how big this map is. It's a chugger. I've got 32 RAM, and this is how long these files take to load. But this is the final boss map. So we changed the coloring on the flooded tunnel with the underground flooding area, and we finally got all of these resolved and layered in all the grit. And these are all removable doors, so like they're porticulous style. This map was fucking fun to build. Really, really fun map to build. And we haven't built all the equipment yet, but the map that we're currently working on, this map, like all these little doodads and stuff, like all these tables and stuff, these are all individual assets that we can move and use. So when we finish coloring all these assets, we can pick them up, and then we can populate all of these rooms as well. Like everything that I need in these rooms is already present inside of this map. It's just this. I don't know. I was putting off assets like this, but now that we have them, like these beds and trunks and stuff, we've got the like here's where one of them, the possessed cult sleeps in all of this filth, but they're hired mercenaries. Their beds would be over here in this area. So where's my map? Grid. Thank you. So like bed here, bunk style, right? Bunks. So these are the different areas. So I can drop, I can drop this bed icon here. I can drop that into this stretch here and here and here. So like this is the kitchen area here, and so we can take assets from inside the kitchen here and the kitchen over here. We can take all these assets and pick them up and then just drop them in here once it's done. So it all serves a purpose, but this place will have just as much decor inside of it, and like all the chemists, they work over here, so they'll have like all the lab tables with like beakers and all that kind of crap set up. But yeah, this is the biggest map that we have. This is a 75-inch by 75-inch map space. That universal tabletop like Roll20 or Foundry or Fantasy Grounds easy. And it's just a JPEG file at a 70 DPI. So once it drops, if you just drop into Roll20, it just auto aligns to the same grid. This is 100 DPI. This is a 100 DPI square. So this square is an inch and it's 100 DPI. But on like Roll20, the DPI per square on the vector map is only 70 pixels wide. So when we reduce this down to 70 pixels, this 2 pixel wide line here reconciles really nicely to align with the like 1.5 pixel wide vector lines that run throughout that virtual tabletop space. So it aligns incredibly well. It doesn't actually start to skew until around 90 squares, I think, but the max size in Roll20 is 100. So like that's it stays aligned for like 90% of the time. It only just starts to skew at the very end because it's not exactly 1.3 pixels wide. You know, it's like 1.25 pixels wide. So there's a little pinch of variance, but it takes so long for it to deviate from the grid lines that we built into here that it serves the purpose for a 75 by 75 inch grid. So, and again, we haven't figured out what font we want to use for our key. But we'll build the key up here in this corner here. And then for this map here, I need a place to put a key. Shit. I guess I'll have to extend this out. Maybe I could put a key over here. I'll be blocking some kick-ass foliage though. I might just build an extra page for a key, like a separate 8.5 by 11 that you can print out. But then like, I don't know, maybe do like an overlay in the corner over here or over here. I could probably pull off a key over here. But I might actually just need to extend that like 3 inches and then just drop space here and then have a key that fits in this space like this space here. I didn't think about that because I fuck up. But yeah, we'll figure that out. It shouldn't be too difficult. We'll get there. We'll get there. But yeah, we'll be back on tomorrow morning like usual for a couple hours of creature and character token art for the Spelljammer campaign. Tomorrow afternoon, we're going to start work on Ukulele Bard's book cover. He has a kind of like a Breath of the Wild type of role-playing game where Yggdrasil is sprouted from the planet and is causing interesting like planar incursions, I think is how it's I only know like very cursory details about the game, but I know that he wants it to be high focus on exploration of environments and delving into like shrines and temples and stuff. So he helped me with the math on the Spelljammer Combat and Exploration book. And in return, I am painting him a book cover of the world with Yggdrasil growing out of the planet, like maybe like a 10 to 20 mile space of environment of like topography and like cities, but with like Yggdrasil growing out of it, like massive. So that's actually a really fun project. I've been letting it backburn in my heart for the past few days, but tomorrow lunchtime for probably about 90 minutes we'll start just working on sketches for that, build out a couple different ideas for Ukulele to pick from, and then once he decides which ones he likes or what blend of them that he likes, we'll be able to lock down the line art for that and then start rendering Bob Ross style the overland environment for that. So it'll be this will be like the first landscape painting that I've had an opportunity to do in like months. So I'm actually really, really looking forward to that. By far my favorite type of painting is environments and landscape painting. It's just the organics of it. It's really liberating that you can just, like Bob says, just like let your heart roam, and wherever it goes is where you get to put new things, and I love that. I've been watching Bob Ross since I was 5. Bob Ross used to come on right before Saturday mornings Saturday morning cartoons started in the 80s. So like I was actually like watching like new episodes of Bob Ross on PBS at 6:30 in the morning on Saturdays, while I waited for Mighty Orbots to start on CBS at 7. So I'd have my big fan of Legos, and at 6:30 I'd be up and playing Legos, listening to Bob Ross, and waiting for D&D cartoons or whatever to come on and entertain me for a block of time on a Saturday morning with my bowl of Captain Crunch. But that was my childhood, and Bob Ross has consistently been in my life since like 40 plus years at this point. It's a thrill to have been able to figure out a way to be able to create his works. It's so funny. There's a colorblind episode where he got a letter from a fan that was colorblind like I am, and he's like, Bob, how can I paint? I don't see any color. How am I to paint like you? And so he just made a black and white painting. But even at 5 years old, I knew he isn't asking how to do your fucking techniques in black and white. He wants to know, how can I create color? How can I work in color when I have no idea what I'm doing? And it took fucking Photoshop to figure it out. I love Photoshop. I will forever give Adobe money because their color tools are, in my humble, ignorant opinion, the best. And so, regardless of what's out there, I will always give Adobe my money because they are the ones that made it possible for me to work in color at all in the first place. I'm a ride or die kind of guy. So, like, WotC's reputation's in the shitter right now because of Hasbro. But I love D&D, so I'm going to keep making D&D shit. Until they say I can't anymore, I'm going to keep doing it. And, so, what was I talking about? Oh, yeah, Adobe. Photoshop. I will forever give Photoshop money because they're the ones that helped me figure out how to be able to work in color at all. So I owe them my heart. And I know they don't give a shit, but that stuff means things to me. I'm from Missouri, though. I mean, we're like that. Missouri's all about ride or die. But those are the kind of friends that I have, too. Like we go out of our way to help each other. I've had a very blessed life, and it's cool that I can friends pushed me to learn how to do color. I didn't think I could do it, and I just basically got dared into it, and fuck's sake, it actually works. So that was amazing. Try to fade in these tire tracks here a little bit more. There we go. I see text happening over yonder, but I need to drift my head over to take a look at it. What are we doing? Captain Crunch. Hell yeah, Captain. Which brush? Oh, these are all custom brushes. I've got here. There's a shitload of brushes that I've created. And currently, this is my. Does it have? There it is. This is my Cloud Spin modified brush. It's which is a goofy title. I have the Art Pen TM that I use on my 6x9 Wacom tablet. Like I have a Best Buy next to where I live, so I can go pick one of these things. $300 to pick it up. But if it breaks, they've got 4 in inventory right now. I actually stopped by there to grab a Sprite on the way home, and so like they just had a stack of tablets there. So like if this tablet breaks right now, I can just walk next door and be back up and running in 30 minutes. So I don't want like an expensive Cintiq. Plus I'm so fucking blind. Here's the edge of my monitor next to my camera here, and it's a 32-inch monitor. It's an Acer production, like a HVC 1501 or whatever the fucking title was, but it's the same type of monitor that Page Layout used at the Seattle Times. So it's really great for color processing. It has auto-correcting color, and it's true. You print what you see. Like it is a $1,500 production monitor that professional publishers use to make sure that what they're looking at on screen is what you're going to be looking at on a page when they print it out. So it's a really good piece of machinery that was me not having to worry about color accuracy is like 1,000% important. Since I don't see any of it, I can't catch mistakes on my own. I have to be told when I fuck up something, which is why I stay in PDFs instead of printing stuff, because I can't properly proof or know how to correct any mistakes that may appear in the color proofing process for print. That has limited my career in the past, which is another reason why I had to transition to creating my own stuff so that I could sell the final product instead of trying to sell my artwork. My stuff looks fine digitally, but as soon as we start talking CMYK, I know that RGB has pretty much replaced the CMYK conversion process, and we don't necessarily have to operate in a CMYK color palette to be able to have true to print imagery, but I can never be 100% sure. So at least with a PDF as a full digital product, I know that what I'm looking at on screen is, and when it looks the same on my phone, I know that I can trust it. Print I can't trust, and that limits that. I know that's going to limit my scope on what I can do. But where'd my pen go? I just shorted out my tablet. Hold on. Thank you. Talking about having to replace my. Thank you. I have a connection issue with my power cord that's probably going to end up making me. It's either the power cord is the coupling, or is the coupling inside of the frame of the tablet. I'm not sure which. Obviously, I am not techie enough to know that. I'm an artist. I'm not a repairman. So my manly aptitude is probably capped at like maybe a 7 or an 8. That's okay. I'll be a B-rated man. I'm fine with that. I think we're almost done with ground grit. Maybe we'll spend some time on foliage, because that actually does sound kind of fun. Doing foliage does sound fun. All right, yeah. Let's All right. One more. Let's do a light haze like that, and then we'll up this. That feels good. We'll take the strength to 60% up here. The strength tells us how much pixel we can push around the page at a time. So a high strength percentage allows me to get just some coloration in, but still. Let's change that eraser to the same time. We'll drop it down to a 20%. So I have to tap at it a few times to make the color go away completely. What's another good spot? There. Just a little bit of, just some discoloration is all I'm really interested in here. Actually, there might be little tufts of grass around the well because water is pouring on it all the time. It's a good reason for grass to take root there. Smudge that out a bit. Smudge that out a little bit more. Get that going there. Just like that. A happy little coax of trees over here. A little squirrel friend hanging out in the branches. Just minding his own business. Oh, Bob, you enriched my life so much. Thank you. There. That actually feels pretty good. Do that. That feels pretty good. Back out a little bit. Smudge it up. Like that. There we go. Thank you. Technically, we're in overtime now. Little track there, very faint, very faint. The depth of the depth of color helps helps exemplify lack of traffic. So the more traffic we have here, the more faded it gets. Right, that's the intention here. And then like these really deep area, we'll be able to do a lot of texture, but we're not there yet. What I want to do is I want to drop in canopy on top of these trees so we can introduce the language for how these look from an aerial view, and then we peel off the table. We can peel off the canopy, and then start putting in tufts, little markings throughout here. I don't know what language we're going to use yet for that, but the brush should help us be able to speak it. So I'm going to merge that down like that, and we're going to call this group, we're going to call this ground. And we're going to add in another layer here, and we're going to go with canopy. We're going to do that. We're going to grab our color reference. This is an interesting tree because it has a lot of highlights on it. So I'm hoping to see if there's any kind of interesting color thing going on here. Nope, it seems to be pretty much the same coloration as we have for the stuff down here. Not a lot of variant. So I'll probably want to actually grab some of this purple. Interesting shadow work. That is really interesting. All right, I'm gonna have to find something. There we go. That's some. Nope, that's the same lushness that I grabbed. Okay, we have. There we go. That's better. That's. Let's try this. Let's try this right now. Let's see how this sits. That's horrible. How about this? Equally horrible. It's because of my strength. Let's go with this. Yeah, I'm gonna have issues with this. How am I gonna do this? Let me go ahead and see if I can catch up on text. Hey, right on, gal. You have a good night. Thanks for stopping by. Good to see you. Let's see if I can grab. Let's check this guy out. Maybe there's some colors here that we like. Copy image. Let's go back to our reference. This feels. If it's not just... Oh, where's your variant? Wow, what a just low tone. This is a great picture, though, for roofing. That's actually not bad at all. But what's going on down... What is up with this? I am really surprised at what low variant there is in the coloring here. It has color. I can tell that because there's differences in the RG and the B. They're all just gray, but it's so. It's really subtle. I don't understand why there isn't more pop. Huh, well, that's really dark, so I guess we could... Nope. That is super dark, so that's probably a really good place to start with a canopy. This is a good base. There's a ton of contrast here, and we can use it along the edges to maintain that distinction from the rest of the terrain around it. So that when we have these canopies on there, then you'll be able to notice that this isn't just that it's a notable change. So that's a good place to start. this. Again, I may be able to like click a button and fill this thing, but I like, again, I like actually doing the pixels myself. It's slower, I know. It's not the best production process, but I'm going to be spending time texturing and coloring these things. So I want to make sure that I'm just familiar with how it sits on the page and where I'm supposed to be at. Plus, spending the time of doing all these things manually and not just always relying on tools allows you to operate more effectively outside of the system of preference. Like if I get stuck in like studio clip art, for an example, I'm not relying on tools. I'm relying on technique to be able to produce the results that I want. These are things that I can transfer to pen and paper. So it's I value the added time of learning, of just learning like my positioning. I think doing things like this helps with cleaner line art. Helps me. I just think it makes me a more rounded illustrator to actually be able to get back into here. 100%. A lot of people are obsessed with like, I want a better brush, or what filtering technique are you using, or how did you automate that? And I like all the shit that I do is like custom couture. Like I call it couture design in 5th edition. Like all the stuff that I create. I mean, this Eberron adventure is probably the most mainstream thing that I've ever created. Period. Like all the character and mechanical options that I create for 5e, they're all very niche product stuff. Like if you're if you want to run a Thieves Guild, then my Guilds and Kingdoms system is going to be right up your alley and you're going to fucking love it. But if you don't give a shit about downtime activities or building an organization, then it's 100% worthless to you. And it's just a waste of time. That is couture design, where it's like its own, like it's conceptual, it's more artistic than mainstream. It's not, like how do you put it, catalog, or like oh god, what's the word that they use? I can't believe I'm blanking on this term. It's retail. It's like retail, like Wizards of the Coast is retail design. While like third-party content creators like myself that do this as a hobby or as a passion project or as a small independent studio, we do all these like really niche, like meta concepts that Wizards can't afford to take a gamble on because they have to be the Sears of role-playing games, because they have the widest audience, because they have the largest label. They have to have the broadest appeal to be able to maintain the weight of their own IP, which prevents them from taking risks. When TSR was like the leader in the industry, they couldn't do anything wrong. There was so little content out there that they could create a shitty system and it'll sell. It's like, oh my god, a system. So, it's like there's literally nothing else out there. This is literally the only thing I can read about, like a Land of the Lost Island sort of campaign, the Isle of Dread. Like it's either the Isle of Dread or I'm making it up on my own. There is no alternative. Like they could afford to explore and experiment, and they needed to, because the only way they were making money is by creating books that people would buy. So, and to a certain sense, they needed to go out on a limb and explore exotic locations or esoteric campaign setting concepts, or tackle different issues and take risks, because there wasn't any competition. And although they were the leader in the brand was so small that it didn't really matter yet. They just needed content for people to consume. And they had the freedom to be able to explore. But 50 years later, Wizards D&D has so much tradition built around its IP that Wizards is demonstrably showing. They're demonstrating how their hands are bound in being able to take risks. Like they are unwilling to risk a Dark Sun setting now because there's too much potential damage to their brand because they are stating that the political concepts of Dark Sun don't currently align with what is in vogue with the Geist right now. So like you can't, talk about oppressed slavery species and stuff like that, like creatures born just to be slaves, or broad oppression and stuff like that. It's Wizards has said that's a hot button they are unwilling to explore right now, which means that they aren't willing to take risks. So they have to apply that same risk-averse mentality to absolutely everything they do, which of course ends up damaging their brand. You have to have some guts. You have to have some balls to play in the game. And that is sadly not where Wizards is at right now. But folks like me that have nothing to lose and only have a brand to build can take, risks on building fringe concepts that won't potentially have as much broad appeal. But at the same time, that couture design is limiting your, where you're at in your growth, which I think is what's really cool about Eberron Adventures. Like Eberron Adventures are pretty popular. If you publish an Eberron Adventure, it's going to end up selling 500 copies. It's just a matter of how fast, because there's not enough Eberron Adventure content out there. It is a good market. Spelljammer, Planescape, Radiant Citadel, that stuff is it's not the mainstream core of D&D adventuring. Like Forgotten Realms, generic, medieval fantasy setting, WoW style is the kind of safe bet environment that Wizards is willing to sink multiple products into over and over again. But they've apparently been willing to explore on, do these, like, is Planescape or is Spelljammer still something that there's enough an audience for them to explore in, or they're giving us fan service because all of us old school grognards just fucking loves Planescape and Spelljammer. So they may have been willing to invest that money as a sort of tipping of the hat to us old schoolers, which is greatly appreciated. But the amount of mechanical depth that they have to add to these alternate game settings is not the kind of investment that they want to make, because like spaceship rules is like such a small market that the return of investment, they probably did a quick analysis, like adding another 30 or 40 pages of content to the Spelljammer setting it would just eat their profits. They'd be losing profits if they did that, because the production value of the books would increase so much. It was a financial decision they had to make, and the art suffered for it. Hence the retail fashion of 5e. I feel like I'm rambling, but hopefully you guys are getting the gist of what I'm talking about here. What were we talking about? I got lost inside of that somewhere. God willing, this comment is going to help pull us out of it. I'll take a blind, yeah. Thanks. So you prefer drawing maps in Photoshop because Dungeon Draft doesn't do it for me. I'm just so picky. You know what? There's pickiness and then there's uniqueness. Like I can argue that my style of cartography is probably is pretty unique. And like having your own signature look, like you can have that level of control and customization inside of Photoshop, like down to the pixel, as opposed to using like generative colored, like forestation. Like I'm going to paint a swath and there'll be a forest throughout that region. Like it doesn't have it's that level of control that lets you add these like fun little details that makes your map unique in comparison to others that can be created. Dungeon Draft can create really cool maps, and but it can also create them pretty quickly. So it's not bad for industrial production, but it's just that is not like I want to look. Like I want my own look to my maps. I want people to be able to look at my shit and go, that's Phil's stuff. It looks great. You know, like I don't want to be like, oh yeah, I know how to do that. I want people to really have to like, it's like, wow, what did he do to build that out? Like if it's just dungeon draft icons that you're just like paintbrushing across a map space, it's like I recognize that bush setting. You know, it's like I'm not interested in that. I want to create unique maps for unique experiences. Stuff that people want to come back and find out more about. What are we working on today, you know? But as much as I want to produce content, I also want to just have an entertaining stream. They can talk shop and, you know, shoot the shit here. Like there's a lot of artists out there that, you know, have 6 digits worth of followers over time, and I'm hoping to be able to curve into that same space over the next 10 years to have a good pile of people to hang out with while I do this stuff. So the creation process itself is, you know, is half the fun, you know, quote unquote. But I'm just going to finish up this line work here and we'll call it a day. And then when we come back on Thursday, we'll fancy up the texturing on the ground and the foliage here. And if we succeed in getting through that, then we'll start building roofs. And once the roofs are done, then we'll do the interior floor space. And once the interior floor space is done, then we'll colorize the assets, stuff. Boxes, plates, bloody-blahs, chairs, tables. And once we have all those done, we'll be able to pick them up and then go back to that other map and populate the bunker with all the stuff. I'm sure there's a better word than stuff. It's not equipment, like placemats doesn't sound like equipment. It's a placemat, man. I'm just putting it on my table. I'm just kind of keep Billy from pouring gravy all over my wooden table. You know, that's not equipment. We're just calling it stuff for now, lack of a better word. God damn it, Billy. Stuff and things, stuff and things, stuff and things. Almost there. What I've been doing off screen is cleaning up the Spelljammer token assets and dropping color flats in, so that when I stream the character art, the only thing we're just rendering light and shadow and texture. So hopefully, I've got there's 45 icons total for the Spelljammer creatures and NPCs that we provide with the Spelljammer Combat and Exploration book. And we've got we've got 12 of them done. And so the remaining 33 or whatever, we've got maybe 15 of those with color flats, and I'm still working on color flats on the rest. I didn't realize I was going to get kidnapped to go to a barbecue on Memorial Day. That completely scuttled my workload, but God bless my gal for dragging me out of the office and having a chance to hang out with people I care about. It was the right thing to do, even if it doesn't line up with my production pipeline. It was absolutely worth it. My main problem, I would say, as men are prone to, what's the word I'm looking for? Give me a second here. I know the word I was trying to say, and it disappeared on me. Hold on. It's ambition. Men have ambitions, and an artist's ambition is manifested as like lack of sleep, lack of eating, completely ignoring my own physical body for my ability to focus further in on whatever pixel I need to push next. Like my ambition is like 10 million pixels worth of art that I need to illustrate for this adventure, and I'm absolutely willing to get 3 hours of sleep a night to be able just to push more pixels to get things in place where they need to be to get the thing done as fast as I can, because there's like 7 more projects that are just screaming in the back of my head, just like, you're so close to being able to build us, just hurry the fuck up. And it's a fever that just burns in the back of my head that it must be produced. And I will lose sleep, I will skip meals, and I will completely forget to talk to people outside of my space. Like, I forget about family and friends. It is super narrow laser focus on, like, I need to push this pixel now. And artists that absolutely embrace that escape from their own head while they're in the art process, they absolutely have that same level of drive. Like, you can't get to that empty space without having enough drive to push you mechanically into it. Like, the only reason I can turn off my brain when I paint is because I'm so, my hand, my arm, my eye-hand coordination knows how to put pixels on a page to create something that looks like blah, to the point where if it's something I'm familiar with, I can just completely sleepwalk through it. I had a friend in college. His name was Mock. His name was actually Jeff, but his favorite movie was Heavy Metal. So he liked people to call him Mock because that was the name of the villain in the original Heavy Metal movie. Anyway, Mock was a certified fucking genius, like full scholarship on math, goddamn genius, and he would get completely tanked, like sloshing drunk on a fifth of vodka. Let's go, and he would just be he would. There was one instance that he came home, opened the fridge and peed in it before getting another beer, closed the door, went to his room, and proceeded to do calculus or like whatever fucking insane math of probabilities he was working on. But his head was like laying on the table, like looking sidelong at the page. And he's doing equations, like he's not even looking at them. Like, that's the kind of flow that artists have. Like, that drunken stupor, I can do this even though I am shit-faced drunk. Like, that is a skill set. His happened to be in, advanced mathematics. Mine's just pushing pixels. So, I mean, there's a difference there. But I hope he hasn't killed himself. Really, really smart people like that tend to kill themselves. And I just, Mock, I hope you're out there, dude. I hope you're out there causing trouble, building bombs, or whatever the hell it is that you're supposed to be doing to monetize. But he was a good guy. I mean, I don't know if he was actually good or not, but goddamn, he was fun to be around. Anyway, that's me rambling. Don't mind me. Oh, I have to sleep. I wish I didn't either. I can only do 3 hours of sleep for like 2 or 3 nights before I like when I come on and I'm like completely fucking dead brained in the morning when I'm doing Spelljammer art. It's because I was up stupid late working on pixels, and then I'm like, well, fuck, I have a production schedule to keep, so I have my alarm go off and. I drag my ass to the computer, and even though my brain is completely wiped, I'm still pushing the pixels and the art still looks good. It's just it really comes down to how much are you willing to abuse yourself. Hey, let's be honest, right? But again, that's that ambition to. Like that drive to, you have to do this thing. You cannot stop yourself from doing it. almost there. This is fun though. I just love doing this stuff. You know, my body and become a cyborg and not have to sleep much, I would. Yeah, I feel you, bro. I definitely feel you. I am thinking the Kovac series. Carbon, what was it? I read the first book, and then I read part of the second book. Altered Carbon, that's it. That was a sci-fi series. I think it was on Netflix for a little while, but it's also a series of books. I only read 1.5 of the books, but it was really fascinating. It was like science fiction future. Teleportation is can be done. Body backups, mind storage. It really leaned into the culture and ramifications on culture and humanity of being able to copy your consciousness. It was Kovac was like a special forces type of character, and he would be downloaded. Like you could like teleport to other planets by just simply having a copy of your consciousness loaded into a body at another location. So, but the reason I bring it up is because of the the reason I bring it up is because they spend a lot of time talking about time distortion inside of virtual environments, like a writer or an artist that is dealing in a visual medium. If I had the ability to be in a digital space, pushing pixels like this digitally with my own consciousness. But time moved, like time in that space moved 10,000 times faster than time out here would. I'd be able to spend 1 year of the real world with 10,000 years inside the virtual space creating artwork. I could drop in, spend 1,000 years becoming a really good painter, then come out of that reality and the pixel knowledge, the hand movement knowledge, it directly transfers, because I'll had all those thousands of years of experience of being able to analyze the structure of an image, or like how does light proportion work, or like what's a good story, or how can I compose a good symphony, for instance. Any kind of visual or mental art can absolutely benefit from a time distortion. Like you can't really do that with sculpting, because you have to come out of the virtual space and you still only have a block of stone here. That virtual space only trains you on being able to carve it out, but it didn't actually allow you to produce anything. But people like us that are working with images, if I had 10,000 years in a virtual space, holy crap, the things that I could build. I tell you what, man, role-playing games is just the best umbrella hobby that any human could ever hope for. Like dreaming up reality feels like such a big brain god activity. Like there's a non-zero chance that when we die and we extract out of this body that we're going to wake up, looking to see what our high score is on the board for playing Roy for, a full cycle or whatever. Like my game is Phil, not Roy. So I think I just think I have like a really good player that's running my game right now, because I fucking love my life. But art, role-playing games, storytelling, improvisation, like ironically, you can't get too good at improvising, right? Like the more time you invest in something, that's the thing about art. Here specifically is I can improvise textures and different things because I get the jazz of how it works, right? Storytelling is the same way. The more stories you tell, the better you get at exploring stories, plots, character motivations, the better you get at improvising a story on the fly. And that's a skill with no limits. Because like D&D, role-playing games in general, because the audience is really, the best audience is only like 3 or 4 people. You know, the people that you're at the table with. And that the thing that you're creating is kind of like a chef. You know, if you've seen The Menu, I don't know if you've seen The Menu. That's a great movie, by the way. It's definitely worth seeing. But it's like culinary arts. It's something that's for you to appreciate it, you must destroy it. That is a fucking amazing art. I went to culinary school, but I'm a shit cook. I did well enough and basically lasted long enough for me to be able to get any corporate job that I wanted. Like I threw out I always got whatever restaurant job I walked into, whatever role I wanted. Like I landed a sous chef job, I landed a dessert prep cook position, a lot of different things in the restaurant industry I've done over my age because just because I went to culinary school for a couple of years as a trade school. It gave me, that much more experience than say the cokehead that wanted to get a short order chef position, whatever. But anyway, the point is that culinary is really amazing because for you to be able to have your art appreciated, you have to actually eat it. But all these arts is like you can't how perfect of a steak can you ever cook? It's for the audience. It's for that individual audience member, Like so D&D role-playing games in general, you have like an audience of like 3 to 5 typically. But all the improvisation, comedy, all the story weaving, all the illustration, all the things that you're doing is for this small table. This table of connoisseurs, this table of consumers that are eating the content that you're producing. But they're also creating something else for themselves as well. So it's such a unique art form. They're really, it's like, me and my friends, we joke, it's like, it's going to be great when we're so old that we're stuck in an old folks home. Let's just make sure we're in the same old folks home so we can just play D&D forever until we forget whose fucking turn it is in initiative and we get lost in it. Diabetes type 3. If we're smart and we lessen our sugar content and keep our exercise up, we should be able to avoid the dementia and actually be able to have a long running campaign. So neat ideas, fun stuff. But yeah, it's just you can't get too good at this stuff. Like what a great art to just like all the illustration I do is just so I can better visualize the games I like to play. I always illustrated my characters. And then when I start having like campaign, DMing, then I'm building maps, like shitty dungeon maps. And now I need to figure out the deck plan for this ship I want to build. And now I want to get good at like actually illustrating the characters, not just like, doing the maps. I want to actually draw the characters. And it just goes, it's just like there's no end to it. There's no end to it. How good can I get at character art? Even if I get awesome at all the details, I can go faster. Can I reduce could I charge $800 for a character illustration that only took me 3 hours to make? Like, can I get to a level of quality that people are willing to invest that money in my skill? Like at some point, money becomes a meter of how good you are at what you do. I mean, isn't that the truth though? Like NBA players getting paid shitload of bank to throw a ball because they're really fucking good at throwing that ball. And it's cool watching it happen, which is why you can get cartographers and artists to have, 200, 500, a million subscribers because they like watching you push pixels. So anyway, comments. What up? Hey, Nitro. These are in fact happy little trees, my man. Yeah, it's 9:30. I need to, this is the last copes I need to do. So once I have this filled in, we'll be done for the day. And then we'll come back and on Thursday, we'll come back and we'll start doing texture and fancy stuff with this stuff. But we're just blocking in color right now. Blocking in color and talking shop. Good to see you, Nitro. Can I become fast enough that I get a commission done in 3 hours? Hopefully I can. I'm about at the point where I can do, I can do a page of art like an 8.5 by 11 of like multiple characters full color. I'm about at the place where I can produce those a full page of that in about 40 hours for around $900. So that's, if I had a commission like that once per week, I'd be able to have a $4,000 income. The problem is that I don't have a large enough pipeline of consistent clients that are willing to pay that much money. Plus, commission work is difficult, man. I am super picky about the commissions that I take. Like, I really better fucking love the project, because it's questionable, like in the RPG industry specifically, outside of private commissions, am I going to get paid enough to make me doing this worth the effort? And if it is, how sustainable is it? Like, I was doing freelance character art for a while. When I was at a lower level of quality, like I could do like a page of art for like $300, and it might take me 50 hours to do it. So like all my metrics are ratcheting up. But the problem that I ran into when I was consistently doing character art was I fucking hated the characters. But for me to get the pay, I got to make the thing. It's like, I do not like what this project is at all. But you can't, if you're trying to make a living out of it and support people, you can't cherry pick your projects. If they're paying you a decent dollar per hour ratio, take the fucking gig, right? But then you burn out super fast. It's like, I hate all this shit. Like, you can make a decent living doing just like fruit assets for slot machine online gambling games. Like if we had like my best shoe slot machine with 500 different pairs of cutesy high heel shoe combinations that you're marketing to chicks that like to collect shoes. There's a market for that, and it has a gambling component. You press the button, it does it does a slot machine, but it's shoes that you win, and then you keep those shoes in storage. Now I need 500 different pairs of shoes, and I need somebody to build those fucking for me. AI actually is probably a really good example of like a task that I would allocate to building like 500 different types, like 500 illustrations of high heel shoes. Yeah, let's AI that crap. That's going to revolutionize the online gambling industry. Good job. But for a while there, that was a full-time gig. If you're willing to draw, red cherries, black cherries, green cherries, orange, lime, orange, slice, lime, slice, in a 50 by 50 pixel space, for instance. Like, if that's your jam, you can make a legit living off of that. Like, you can make a living, apparently, from those that know. Like, Trent Kanega is somebody that I listen to a lot. He's an artist that used to do concept art for Blizzard and Riot and some other stuff. He's at a point now in his career where he has a huge enough following that he can post a Kickstarter project on a YouTube post, and he'll fund $50,000 of the project. So, and he mentors people and stuff. So he's where I dream to be someday. But he's like, you can still make a decent living creating just assets like this kind of crap. Like, if I build spoons, plates, cups, butter trays with butter on it, like as little 3D model assets, I can make a living doing that at Blizzard, because it's super boring background crap that needs to get done. Glamour, zero. Endless need for it, yes. You can make a living off of that crap. But do you want to? If that is not a destination, that kind of work is a means to an end, because you will burn out on it. It is not creative work, it is pure technical work. And all technical work has a burnout cycle, because there's nothing that's inspiring you. After a while, it's just pushing pixels. Put the target in the center, pull the trigger. Put the next target in the center, pull the trigger. Put the next target in the center, pull the trigger. That's Shinji from Evangelion practicing being a giant robot operator, because he has to get his eye-hand coordination to the point where he can reliably make that machine put you in the crosshairs for him to pull the trigger on his railgun so he can destroy the angel target. Like, that is super fucking boring shit, but it builds muscle memory skill for you to be able to do really cool stuff later. So like even that sort of work is a means to an end, but you got to know where you're going with it. Or at least you have to have a dream that it builds, that you can build out of it. And speaking of that, we've hit our objectives for the day. It's 9:30 here in Seattle. I'm going to be up in about 8.5 hours to do Spelljammer token work. So I'm going to bounce for the day. Buckets! Oh, man. But yeah, that's it for the day, guys. Thanks a lot for hanging out with me. If you're a lurker, thanks for hanging out with me. Like, subscribe. I do this 6 days a week, in the mornings, afternoons, sometimes in the evenings as well. But 6 days a week in the mornings. And yeah, we're just going to keep doing shit until we're done. So yeah, see you guys on the other side. Laters.